So once a week in our household, we do the ritual of cleaning the GE Profile Opal 2.0 Nugget Ice Machine. It is necessary because we start getting some squeaks on the inside after about that week. It kind of gets worse and worse as we go. So not sure if you can hear it in the mic, but it kind of starts out sounding like chickens, and by the time it gets crazy, it sounds like wailing chickens. So we do the cleaning. The app that we use, the Opal machine is Wi-Fi connected. You can see right here it says needs cleaning. It says that pretty early on though, so I think that may be more like a mileage on a car saying it needs an oil change. So it's pretty antsy, but the squeaking definitely tells us, okay, it's time. So we get out our tools of the trade, and we're going to be using a tiny bit of bleach for the first cleaning cycle. We will then be using distilled white vinegar for the second, third, and possibly fourth, just depending on how I feel, cleaning cycles. The vinegar helps to break down the hard water buildup that we get. You can kind of see, this is the glass jar that we use for the glass measurer for our water all the time. And believe it or not, I have actually vinegared this several times in the last couple months, but we have very hard water. We don't have a water softener. So it's absolutely necessary, if this machine is going to keep going, that we do this cleaning cycle. So let's get started. I will be using my Retroid Pocket 6 that I received. Ordered in November, got it late January. Very happy. We're going to be playing We Love Katamari. Sorry about the glare. So I have started a new save. We're going to see how far I can get into that game while cleaning, and you'll be along for the ride. So first step is going to be taking the ice tray out. It does drip, so be careful. I go ahead and place it in our sink. That way, if my wife still wants some of her ice that was made over the last 45 minutes or so, she can still use that. Let's move our Retroid over a little bit for a second. So we will need to access the back of the unit where the hoses are. There are two hoses. One hose leads to the reservoir in the bottom where we fill the ice machine with water. The second is the reservoir that is closer to the condenser and all of the parts. So let me get this turned around so that you can see what we're looking at. So we have our two hoses. They have their low point here. I just have to be close enough to the sink to be able to let gravity do its thing. So first thing is I'm just going to go ahead and drain it. So that water goes into the sink. And then as soon as that, go ahead and shut the chicken squeaks off. That'll be fine to do that. So these hoses just drip into the sink. You can see they're just leading down. There wasn't much water in the lower reservoir, so we are already empty on that. But the bottom or the top reservoir was still making ice, so that has now emptied. So now we are ready to put that small amount of bleach in, and then we will dilute that with water. So that small amount of bleach is all that's required. Don't get it on my nice Pokemon shirt. And so then we will fill up. I have the 4-cup measure ready in the sink. We'll be using that because that's obviously the 2-cup. It's going to take twice as long. So there, it has finally turned off whatever belt or part that gets annoyed by being dirty. So then before I pour the water in, I'll go ahead and close this up. And the bleach just kills any possible buildup of mold or other nastiness. It's you can definitely smell that in there. Okay, so then now I'll show you that we are going to turn it on. It thinks it's making, but then we're going to hold the hold the clean button for the 3 seconds that it says. It says cleaning, which is great. Squeaking because it's dirty in there, but that actually should start to go away very quickly once the cleaning cycle is done. And the cleaning cycle is fairly simple on the Opal Ice Maker. It pretty much just doesn't try to make the ice. It just runs the water through the whole system. And I know on the inside, you start to see the water drip down like where the ice is supposed to come from. And that is just a great indicator that it's doing what it's supposed to. You'll see that water. And I usually try to just keep the 4 cups of water ready for the next go around because we will be cleaning, rinsing after we have done this, just to make sure that you don't have any of that bleach left over. Nobody wants to be eating ice with the bleachy taste. So it will go on its own. It does that initial cycle, and then I just have to watch to make sure that it doesn't lose all the water out of the bottom reservoir. I'll just keep feeding that. But while we're waiting, I'll go ahead and kick on the Katamari game. Close enough so you can see. And there I am, the little Katamari guy. So we have nice to meet you, Your Highness. Katamari Damacy is fun. Or was fun. I think it must have been fun. I'm sorry, I've forgotten. I've completely forgotten how to roll the Katamari. I know I'm a goof. Help me remember, please. Yes. So we're going to go through the how-to tutorial of Katamari. We'll skip that screen. And this is the Retroid Pocket 6 black with the D-pad top so that I can play this Katamari game and feel like I'm on a PlayStation controller. We'll do this tutorial. We are using the Nether SX2 emulator. Got the Katamari ISO going up. King to stop talking. Okay, so we have to do the roll backwards, roll sideways. We have to rotate. Okay, so now we have to pick up enough of these pieces in this tutorial in order to grow to the next size up, and that triggers the next section of the tutorial in Katamari. Let's see. You can still hear some ice dropping from the ice machine from when it made. Okay, so there. So now the king has said, you've grown. Picking stuff up. So now we should be able to go up this wall. Okay, so now we'll pause and get back to our cleaning of the ice machine because you can see it has stopped. That is great. We will now pull these nozzles out of the back again. And there's just this hook system. It actually kind of falls off. I need to figure out some way to attach it. But this just hooks onto the back of the unit. Got myself a little bit wet. Luckily that's diluted by this point, so not as bad as it could be. And it will drain all of that out, and then we'll plug it back up. But I have found that I don't have to completely snap the hoses into this while doing the cleaning. I could just, there's 2 little slots that kind of guide them over towards the end plugs. So I typically just attach the hoses there. While that drains, we'll get back to Katamari. Now we got to do Royal Look with R1. Zoom in, zoom out using the left stick. Oh, sorry, zoom in, zoom out using L2, R2, so we can look around, see stuff. Let's move on. So then we have Prince Look as L1. Now we can do R2, For R2 for Miracle Eye, L2 for Normal Eye. I'll be honest, I don't use that very often. So then now we're going to dash by going back and forth with the joystick. Now I remember getting the Retroid Pocket 2 and trying to play this game, and it was almost playable because it's a fairly simple game. But the problem was the Retroid Pocket 2 it did not have two joysticks. It had a left joystick and it had a right. I'm not even sure what they called it. It was uh, like a D-pad with the joystick top. So you could swivel. It was a quick stick, but it was far from actually having two joysticks. And I think it wasn't until the Retroid Pocket 3 that we got two joysticks, and man, does it make all the difference to have real two real joysticks. So then, and also the Retroid Pocket 2 did not have the R1 or R2, sorry, the R3 or L3 buttons for doing the flip. So you had to program, you had to hotkey in. So I remember picking one of the volume buttons as the hotkey to be able to push that button, and it toggled both. That way I could do that turn, because it was very tedious to be like, oh, I'm going to turn. And it was playable, but not enjoyable. So now we just need to get big enough to be able to roll up this little orange guy that's running around the track. Got him. Okay, there we go. So we have finished that level. Let's skip through the rainbow. So now we will plug this guy up. When we pour some water in, it doesn't go anywhere. Now you'll notice we have fans on each side that push additional air into our Opal Ice Maker machine. We found that it does get warm pretty early, and that having the fans pushes air into it and helps. It goes easily double, if not triple, the time that it used to. So I have put some water in, but now I am also going to put the vinegar in, because this does the most for us with our hard water. Pour enough of that in for it to make a difference. So we're good with that. So now we have done all of our chemicals. We have done our bleach. We have done our vinegar. Now we'll hold the clean button again for it to go on cycle number 2. Although I believe it does 3 cycles before it turns off. So I think you're supposed to do at least 3. So we have our 4 cups of water here. Good to go. So back to our game. We're going to skip the king of the universe, the king of the galaxy. And there's our star. It is called the Mysterious Planet. It was 19 centimeters and 9 millimeters. So now we can walk around this open kind of prairie. So anytime there's a person that's saying hello, that's a new level that you can play. Roll up a new Katamari, and they usually give you some indication of what you'll be doing. There's usually a theme. So if they're talking about swimming, it's probably in water. And if they're talking about education, it's the one that's in the school, and so on and so forth. You have kind of an indication of what world you're getting into. So this one is the house. You can see we start on the remote. Turn the brightness up for you. Love how bright we can make the Retroid Pocket 6. It is super bright. That AMOLED screen. Let's make the king mad by skipping his. So then he always mentions it's your first roll up ever on today's date, 2/15. Roll up anniversary. Of course, because I started a new. I love that you could see the TV playing the game. It reminds me of the Mario Kart level. Let's see if we can. Did I go too bright for you? Looks like maybe I did. Come on. There we go. Let's go. That's better. Okay, we can still see. I can see plenty well. We're not outside. So we are trying to get to 15 centimeters. We got to roll up some of these fleas. Got to roll up buttons. Oh, just a lot of junk around this house. And then if you see, that's a person laying there. That giant obstacle. They're watching their TV. If you run into stuff, it tells you, bang, you ran into something. And if you run into something that is moving, that is too big for you to pick up, it will sometimes catapult you away. It'll launch you. Pick up some dye. There's some frogs. So if I run into this frog, oh, I missed it, or these snails, it'll usually warn me you're about to run into something. It'll say, don't do that, because you don't want to get knocked around. All right, let's pause. And we have got, now we can, and actually at this point with the white vinegar in the machine, instead of draining it, I will actually run the cycle again, try to get that. So it turns off because that was the cycle. So we have to go on, it thinks it's making ice, and then it's cleaning again. So we're back to the cleaning. You can kind of hear that initial little, oh, it went away, that initial kind of hum that it doesn't sound like that any other time of the week that we're having ice made. That is definitely it. Turning that pump on just to pump water, but the water's not then stopping. It's going to just keep on rolling. And so are we. We're going to keep on rolling our Katamari. Go up this. Pick up some of these things. Got a hairpin. And I am playing this at 2.5 times resolution. I have played most of these levels at 8 times resolution. Oh, we picked up. It says we rolled up some weird buffness. Yep, that king, he's a character. So now we're going to, it says 46 seconds left. We'll see if I can get enough cookies and whatnot picked up just to barely beat this level. I did not do it very efficiently, but really still kind of like tutorial 2.0. We should be able to pick up some batteries. There are 30 seconds to go. We get the alarm going off. And there we go. So I don't get the sad face and have to do the level all over again. I love that there's the cat tail, knocks me around. Later, when we get big enough, when we play this room again in a different level, you can pick up the cat when you get big enough. It's just an incredible game that of scaling, of going from teeny tiny, big enough to pick up fleas, or small enough to pick up fleas, to big enough to roll up planets. It is really incredible. I don't know of a game like the Katamari series. There was one Cubivore I saw for either, I don't think it was for the N64, I believe it was for the GameCube. I really want to get into that game because it has the same kind of basic, just walking around feel to it, where you're just basic shapes and like polygons from Katamari, and uh, you don't have to be a real expert. You can just pick up, play it, and leave, and not feel like, wow, I really need to get my save. I'm hoping that Cubivore game is like that. Like I said, I've played like the tutorial on it, but I have not done that. Maybe that'll be next week's ice cleaning game. I always skip through these when I'm, okay, so we have, there's a good break point. We can hear the machine has turned back to stationary. So at this point now, we'll drain that white vinegar. And while that's doing that, we'll start the next level. So King's always talking. He likes to talk. So now we want to, so we can hold. And I've got this set up not in the traditional circle, square, cross, triangle setup. So I have to remember what is what, but I believe it's cross, and then so I think it's actually the circle button on the original hardware in that screen allows you to run. So you can get to the next level sooner. Let's skip. And then actually if you hold the right joystick, you can control which direction the text goes. So down or up. You can move around with the left, moves the king's head. Sometimes it goes away really quick, and sometimes it's there for a little longer if it's a more complicated level. Okay, so this level is we are cleaning or tidying up the bedroom. So we have to pick up 100 objects exactly. And it's almost kind of a puzzle kind of level. Now let's pick up that little cousin. It's a puzzle because you got to figure out, okay, what are the smallest objects to start with? That way we can get this done in an efficient way. Let's get some crayons and some building blocks. Use that spin move that we have because we have the R3 and L3 button. Love that. And then I actually have built in the M2 button, the one that's on the right side, is the fast forward. So if I wanted to play this at 60 frames per second, theoretically I could, but it's way difficult. I will be using that in the King menus, the King speeches, if I can remember to click it on, but love the ability to just press that button. Okay, so let's see if we can get anything up here. All right, let's pause and take a look and see. Looks like we're all drained out of there. So let's look that. And at this point now, we are just rinsing. There is no more real cleaning going on. Pull this Pyrex back up. So I will go ahead. Let's see, clogged. Now we will do that other cleaning. And then sometimes you'll see little particles inside of the reservoir down here. So I usually keep some kind of paper towel. And when I drain it and it goes completely dry, I'll tip the machine to make sure everything goes into the vent. That there's a few parts in there that we can clean, but I usually will wipe up those flakes because, like I said, we get those hard water marks, those white hard water deposits, and it's good to get those out of the machine because you don't want that trying to go into the machine and clogging it, pushing the water from the bottom reservoir up to the top reservoir. So definitely one step in this cleaning process. Another step I typically do about every couple times is I will get my electronics blower, my compressed air that's not compressed air. It's a strong blower that can push a lot of dust off of these fan slots, but I did it for the last cleaning before this one, so I'm not going to mess with that today, mostly because it probably doesn't make great content to be blowing a really loud, leaf blower for the kitchen kind of thing. So 9 objects to go. I'm gonna get this. 6 to go. Let's see. I need to get these puzzle pieces. 2 to go. Let's get 2 more. There's one down here. And pick that up. Okay, so we got that going. So now I'm gonna hit that fast forward button. You can kind of see that little light there, that little indicator. Now we're in the menu going 2 times speed. Need to set it to like 10 times speed for this game so we could just really skip through. And our Katamari is, I think it's called like a neat Katamari. A very messy planet. Yep, that's totally on brand. Okay, so now we're gonna run to this lady saying, Your Majesty. Talking about newness. Okay, Let's go, and then turn off fast forward. We'll hit start, so you can see I can move his head a little bit. It's iffy. Some of these menus aren't as friendly to that function of moving him around. Okay, so this level we are picking up flowers. We're getting any of these flower arrangements on these bushes. Okay, so our machine turned off cleaning. So we're going to again drain it into the sink. We have our 4 cups ready over here. Super handy to have that ready already, because then we don't have to do that. So now when it's draining, I can take a peek in here and start wiping away. Once it gets down, you can kind of, there's a just like slight bit of, okay, so the water has gone down enough to not be pooled. It's just kind of damp, so I'm just going to wipe. And now's a good time because we'll still be rinsing again, so we don't end up with weird stuff being left in. Okay, so that has been wiped. We're still getting some water out of there. That sometimes takes about a minute or minute and a half, so that's a perfect time to roll up some more Katamari. There, we can run into that cow. See, it knocks me around, but let's hit that. So if you hit something that's just about small enough for you to pick up, it knocks it over, and then you can roll it up after it's on the ground. So that gnome was small enough that I had to hit it, but too big for me to just roll up in the first go. And all these fairies flying around. Okay, so I've grown already. Check for those sheep. The last time I played this level, I was just trying my best to just keep moving forward as fast as I could. Just trying to make, watch out for that minotaur looking dude. All right, let's take a look and see if we're no longer draining into the sink. So let's plug these onto the back. Carefully pour this in so as not to spill a ton. And that's the other reason to have this towel, this paper towel with us, is to wipe up just those little splashes, because I'm pouring way more water than I normally would at a time. Normally we do the 2 cups at a time instead of the 4 when we're just giving Opal her water for making ice. And I'll hold the clean button. It didn't turn off, so it's still one of its expected cycles. So then you can see the water on the back goes up to the point that it's clogged and it's bubbles of air going. So normally having that plugged is a good idea, but since we're constantly draining, we don't want to have to keep worrying about that. Oh, there's a peacock. Let's get, we have to get, I don't know if there is a lose to this one. I think this is just do your best level, because it says we've done 437 flowers, but it doesn't say that it doesn't seem like we're required to get any certain amount. So trying to, okay, we're gonna knock into that. I think we have to get that strawberry looking cousin. There, that cow has that warning that it's worried that we're gonna run into it. Get this bunny rabbit. There's that cow. I'm gonna get you, Bessie. There we go. I got Bessie. Now let's go into the water. I think there's other, yeah, there, I got that happy flower. Looks like one of those plants from the Super Mario universe. These cactus flowers. Very cool. Now I've grown. King says something about stuff being romantic. Right into that Mother Nature character. So, let's see, let's go get these deer. This gnome with the guitar. And there's another cousin. I don't think the last time I played this level I was able to get big enough to pick up the Minotaur or the Peacock. I think you have to be a little bit more efficient than I have been. I've been pretty chaotic with this. But I'm more about just enjoying the time. Got one of those rabbits. All right, let's pause. We have cleaned again, so now we're going to drain. And we'll do one more fill up and drain, and then that should give us a nice clean Opal 2.0 ice machine ready for another week of making ice. It makes ice really quickly. We love this. My wife just adores having an ice machine in the house. You just have to watch for it. It will indicate that it's out of water. You'll usually hear it kind of gargling. You know, okay, we need to get our 2-cup, fill it up, open the ice tray, pour it in. Any ice that is in the tray that doesn't get used melts, and it goes right back into the reservoir at the bottom of the machine. So it's just a great system in place for reusing that water. So if we leave ice in it overnight, when we wake up in the morning and turn the machine on, it usually doesn't need us to immediately put water into it. That water is available. All right. You can see we're just draining into the sink. Just a little tiny bit more there. I think that's good enough. So we'll leave that open for now. Let's get this amount in. Let's go ahead and hit clean. Good to go. Get our water in the Pyrex. Not doing too bad. Okay, there we go. So now this water is not going to be rinse water. This is going to be ice. This will not go into the sink. And let's see if we can beat this level. That gnome guy. Flower. Fairies. Oh, 1 minute left. Let's see if we can pick up some of these things down here. I don't think I can get that bear. It's way too big. I think we picked up another cousin. This game has you pick up your cousins, and there are also gifts. There's presents. I think possibly in every level. There's presents, and I'm usually more the speedrun kind of person that just trying to get to the end of the level, get it beat so I can open it up. Obviously on like a new save like this, we're just worried about getting the levels going, and then we'll go back through later and actually beat them as best we can. 2, 1, ta-da! So now we'll do ×2 zoom, or fast forward, I mean. And nice colorful rainbow. And this game is fun. I will, when I'm in the living room, I will hook my Retroid Pocket 6 up to the TV using a USB-C to HDMI. And I currently can output 4K 60 hertz to my TV. I then hook up a wireless. I have a Switch Pro style controller, so it has the joystick up top, but I deal with it with Katamari. But I love playing this game blown up. I have a HD texture pack put in. Hard to tell, but certain elements look super sharp, like not blown up from original PlayStation 2 resolution. They look HD on our TV. They look great. Even on the console, I love how they look. Run around. Okay, so this guy says hoi, and we're going to go into the water. I'm remembering correctly, this is the level where you are underwater and you're snorkeling. You can see your little Katamari dude running with the snorkel in his mouth. And there are two hooks in the middle of the level where there's a dense amount of stuff to roll up. There's one. And if you hit that, it will lift you out of the water and it kills your time. So there's at least two, if not three of those hooks. Okay, so we're neglecting our duties here. So we have now cleaned this machine. It is still in clean mode. So usually I will hold there's some iteration of clean. There we go. So that was that last cycle. Now we turn the power on and we will go ahead and dump that water, the last of what's probably not dirty water now because we've rinsed it. You can hear the gargling when it runs out of water. So you know when you hear that sound in the kitchen, Opal needs her drink. Get some more coming out of there. And then you probably watched me do it here, but I've done it pretty much every time I've cleaned this machine. At least one of the times I will pour the water into the reservoir while the plug in the back is still in the sink, which then just pours everything in. So I try not to do that with the chemicals, but if I was with the water, no big deal. I just fill up the Pyrex again. I mean, at this point, we're going on almost 40 minutes of doing this, but it is so worth it because if you don't clean it, like if we waited, if we were out of town today and I didn't clean this machine by Tuesday, we would get probably less than 20 minutes, 25 minutes before it would start making that noise. And it's just not a fun time to have an ice machine that is not efficient. With this, we'll now probably be able to go an hour and a half. So before we have to worry about having to turn the machine off, because we do still occasionally get a noisy belt or something after a while. We just turn it off. We have the app on our phone. We can be sitting on the couch or in the bed, and the dogs let us know it's going. Okay, so now we make sure our reservoir is filled up. Then we have our tray we can replace. And this has been cleaning our Opal ice machine. Sunday afternoon task. It's handy to get it done. It was annoying to get it done during football season because I missed some football. Try to work around that now that Super Bowl and everything have ended. So now with that placed in, we'll scoot our machine back into place. We just put it right there. And then we do have an aftermarket scoop. The Opal comes with a clear scoop like this. It's not bad, but my wife likes larger amounts of ice, less scooping when you have a larger scoop. We keep it out of the tray so you don't have all that dirt going back into it. But now we are totally good to go. Just get this aligned. And I want to thank you for watching me clean the ice machine.